welcome to Barca News. It is February 23rd, 2026, and John Laporta has been accused of money laundering. Also, Barcelona are now interested in a surprise Mexican talent. And finally, we're going to talk about the UEFA sanction against a Benfica player. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Bo, and welcome to the Barca News live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but we also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting the discussion going. So start filling out the chat section so we can get this podcast going, rocking, popping, whatever you want to call it. Now, for those of you who will be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the goal kits, kit bag or fanatics. I don't know why I forgot how to say goal kits. And if you're looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. You click on them and get access to some pretty cool deals and offers. All right, let's begin with the news. And as always, the first segment of news is comprised of multiple bits of news combined together for the sake of brevity. Started with a Champions League update because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona have requested from UEFA the postponement of the second leg of the round of 16. Now, as you know by now, Barcelona finished in the top 8, fifth to be more specific, in the group stages. As such, they qualified directly to the round of 16, where they're currently awaiting their next opponent. Most likely it's going to be either PSG or Newcastle, because the four different opponents that we could have played against is PSG, Newcastle, Qarabag, and Monaco. Newcastle won the first leg of the playoffs 1-6 against Qarabag, so most likely they're going home. And then as far as PSG and Monaco, PSG won the first leg 2-3 against Monaco. And my guess is Monaco was also going to go home. So the most likely opponents for Barcelona in the round of 16 will be PSG or Newcastle. Now, because Barcelona qualified directly into the round of 16, the first match of the round of 16, the first leg of the round of 16 will be away. So either in Paris or in England. And the second leg will be home. Now, the second leg is set to be played on March 17th, Tuesday, March 17th. Barcelona are going to be playing a Sevilla match that weekend, most likely on Sunday. So Barcelona have requested that the Champions League match be moved to Wednesday, the 18th. So they're asking for the second leg of the round of 16 to be moved from Tuesday to Wednesday. And if that happens, the first leg will also have to be changed, and that would take place on Tuesday, March the 10th. That's the away leg. Now, we're going to see whether UEFA agrees to this or not. It's going to be a little bit difficult because, that means altering the entire calendar. I don't see UEFA approving this. But nonetheless, just know that Barcelona have requested the postponement of that second leg of the round of 16. Now, on to good news because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona have confirmed the news that I've been telling you about for quite some time. And that is that Barcelona have completed yet another signing. And that is, of course, AJ Tavares, the 16-year-old English winger who can play both on the left and on the right. And Barcelona have completed his signing from Norwich, where AJ Tavares was part of the under-18 Norwich setup. He's also part of the under-17 England national team. And he's considered as one of the most promising talents to come out of England. And Barcelona have officially finalized his signing, and they have made it official. Now, AJ Tavares today passed the medical exams and then, of course, signed his contract, took the official pictures. So it is done. It's official confirmation. We have official confirmation that AJ Tavares has joined FC Barcelona. He will, of course, join the Juvenil A, or the under-19 youth team. Of course, with the hopes that he will work his way up to Barca Athletic and eventually to the first team. So one more signing, another young promising player that Barcelona completed sign. Of course, Adrian Tavares will join the likes of the Egyptian Hamza Abdel Karim, the Uruguayan Patricio Pacifico, and the Dutch defender Juvensley Onstein. 4 young promising players all signed by Deco and Joao Amaral in the last few weeks. And of course, we're expecting more in the summer. Now, the last bit of news, speaking of young, talented players, young, promising players, we do have bad news because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona have confirmed the injury of Jofre Torrents. Now, Jofre Torrents over the weekend was playing with Barça Athletic against Alcoyano. He did not start that match. He came off the bench, but shortly after coming off the bench, he went down and he was taken off due to injury. He looked like he was in a lot of pain, which, of course, raised alarm bells. Medical exams were performed today, and it's confirmed that Jofre Torrents does indeed have a left ankle injury that will see him out between 10 to 12 weeks. So that's almost 3 months, which means all of March, April, May, pretty much the rest of the season. He might come back earlier, but not looking good for Jofre Torrents, who, of course, was kind of working towards a breakthrough to the first team. He had been training with the first team under Hansi Flick. He had already played some minutes with the first team, but it looks like his season could be over as, again, he will be out between 10 to 12 weeks due to ankle injuries. So we wish Jofre Torrents the best, a speedy recovery, and may he return better and stronger than before. All right, let's do the comment section, and then we're going to talk about the bombshell complaint filed against Laporta, accusing him of money laundering. Heavy stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Heavy stuff. Oken Peter said, good night, Mo. Listening on from Trinidad. Let's freaking go. We got the Caribbean in the house. I love it. David Vargas says, hey, Mo, love your videos. Most realistic news channel. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining. And thank you for your comment. Kid Prodigy says, Mo, my goat, watching from Orange County, California. Let's go. West Coast in the house. As you guys know, I am from the West Coast originally. From Las Vegas, Sin City, 702. I love it. But now here I'm on the East Coast. And Choo-Choo, my bad Choo-Choo. What's up, brother? He says, good evening, Mo. Hope you're enjoying the snow. I actually am. So, for those of you who don't know, we had a blizzard last night. It started snowing last night. It snowed all through the night, all through the morning, and finally stopped in the afternoon. It was supposed to dump between 18 to 20 inches, but it ended up dumping more. I think it's 25. We're up to 25 inches or 24 inches. 2 feet of snow. It's dumped 2 feet of snow where I live, which is, how much is 2 feet? Let me see in centimeters. 2 feet in centimeters. That's 60 centimeters. 60 centimeters of snow. I went out today in the afternoon to walk my dog, and the snow was up to my thighs. Pretty deep. My dog loved it. He, of course, the snow was to his neck. So he was like jumping like a bunny. That's how he was able to walk. But the good thing is he got pretty exhausted. So when he came home, he just passed out. But I actually love snow. I like snow, especially the first day. Afterwards, I stopped liking snow because then it gets so dirty and then it freezes and then it becomes just big rocks. So I don't like snow afterwards. But the first 2 days, it's really beautiful. It's all white. You walk through it. It's fluffy. It's nice. But yeah, it's a big blizzard, man. Big blizzard. PMW Gaming says, no way I'm this early for the podcast. Let's go. I love that emoji, by the way. What is it, by the way? Is it you can't see it that well from here. Is it what kind of animal is that? I don't know, but it's hilarious. Let's see. Ayon Chuck says, any news on the next Pedri from Mexico? Gilberto Mora. Barcelona's pretty much said, forget about it because his agent, I forgot her name, but she's the daughter of the late Mino Raiola. If you don't know who Mino Raiola is, he used to be the biggest agent in the world. Probably a little bit bigger than Jorge Mendes. He represented all the big stars, including Penaldo. And when he passed away, his daughter took over the agency. And she pretty much came out and said, look, if you want Gilberto Mora, you're going to have to pay like big bucks. And Barcelona was like, no thanks. So Barcelona are no longer, in the race for Gilberto Mora because the whole point of signing young prospects is not paying a lot, right? The whole point of that is, hey, you identify someone promising. When their price is still low, you sign them and then you develop them into a big star. That way, you save money, right? You have a big star in your hands that costs you very little. You know, a Pedri situation where we paid 10 mil for him, and that guy is worth, I mean, at least 180. But if you're going to ask me for 60, 70 mil for a young prospect, then what's the point of getting a young prospect? You might as well go and sign someone who's already made, someone in their prime, right? So it's a dunzo deal. And I don't mean dunzo as in we sign them. I mean dunzo as that's it. It's over. Sundart says, hi, Mo. If we come under 1-1 rule, how much board will allot of summer? At least 100. Oh, okay. So how much money the board would set aside for signings? That has nothing to do with the 1-1. That just has to do with how much money we're going to end up making by the end of the year, right? In other words, how much profit we're going to have. Now, for people who don't know the difference between profit, revenue is how much money you make. That's not your profits. That's just how much money you make in general. From that, you have to subtract your expenses, right? Subtract your expenses, right? Your salaries, bills, loans, whatever. And whatever you have left over, if you have anything left over, that's your net profit. You might break even, then you don't have profit, right? You might make $10, you spend $10, you don't have profit. You broke even. Or you might spend make $10 and spend $12. Now you're -2. You don't have profits, you have losses. So how much money we'll have for signings? Well, it's all going to depend on how much profits we have at the end of the year, how much net profit we have, and whether we sell any players in the summer. So it's not, the 1-1 obviously affects that because the 1-1 affects how much of that money we can use. So if you make $10 and you spend $8, you have $2 profit. So you could spend that $2 on signings if you're under the 1-1 rule. If you're not under the 1-1 rule, let's say you're under the 50% rule, the 2-1 rule, you have $2 of profit, you can only spend $1 on signings, right? So the 1-1 is only going to affect how much of the money we have can we spend, but it doesn't dictate how much money we have at the end of the year. And so I hope that it clarifies things. But yeah. Now, speaking of money, let's move on to the next bit of news because we do have a bombshell report. And that is that, ladies and gentlemen, the former president, now turned candidate, John Laporta, has been accused of money laundering. Now, this was a legal complaint filed with the Central Court of First Instance of the National Court in Madrid. Let's just say court. Fuck it. But a soci, a club member, has filed a legal complaint with the court in Madrid accusing John Laporta and other members of his board, including the current president, Rafa Yuste, who's taking place of John Laporta since Laporta resigned to run for re-election, and Elena Fort, who is one of the vice presidents of Barcelona, and has accused them of money laundering. Heavy accusations. Now, the complaint was submitted with 38 other documents as exhibits, in which, again, Laporta, Yuste, Elena Ford, and other members of his board are accused of collection of undue commissions or laundering money from the club. Now, the complaint claims that this money laundering was carried out over several major financial operations, including the renewal of the Nike deal, the financing and construction of the Spotify Camp Nou, the Barca Vision sale. Remember, I talked about this one. This sale just makes no sense to me. And the New Era deal, which is where Barcelona sold rights to the VIP seats in exchange of 100 million euros. So this complaint is accusing Laporta and members of his board of laundering money, of stealing money from the club through commissions when they did those deals. Now, how would that work? For example, let's use the Nike deal example, right? Because that's another flag I brought up in my previous videos. I said, hey, this Nike deal just doesn't fit. Something's off. I don't know what, but something's off. First of all, we don't know the exact numbers, right? John Laporta told us it's the best contract in the history of football. And the soci said, why? And he said, trust me, bro, right? He won't reveal the numbers, but he wants us to believe him, take his word that this is the best contract in the history of football, okay? But that's not the problem. The problem is, of course, something we do know for a fact, and that's that one of Laporta's buddies, Darren Dane, made 50 million euros as a commission for helping Barca negotiate this deal, right? So that's the only commission we know for now. We don't know what commission was paid out for the Camp Nou construction, the Limac contract, or the financing deal, because that's a separate deal, you know, where Barcelona borrowed 1.4 billion from Goldman Sachs and other investors. We don't know what commissions were paid out for negotiating the sale of the VIP seats. We don't know the commission that was paid out for the sale of Barca Vision. We only know the commission of the Nike deal. So let's use that as an example. How would money laundering factor into this 50 million euro commission? This is how it would work, okay? You go to Darren Dane and you say, hey, buddy, I want you to help me negotiate this deal. What's your fee? And he says, 10 million. And you're like, okay, perfect. He negotiates it, deal closes. But on the documents of the deal, instead of putting that you're paying Darren Dane 10 million, you put that you're paying him 50 million. And you go to the bank, Barca's bank account, you pull out 50 million under the disguise or the pretext that that's Darren Dane's commission, but you only give him 10 because that's his fee. He said, I want 10. He's like, okay, here's 10. But on paper, I put it was 50, so I pocket the 40, right? And that's what these accusations are about. They're saying that Laporta, Rafa Yuste, Elena Fort did this with all these deals that Barcelona closed, where they paid out exorbitant commissions because they were pocketing the difference, right? This is what I think happened, by the way, with the whole Negreira case. I think Bartomeu, Sandro Rosé, possibly Laporta, because Negreira was also hired under Laporta's first term, were overpaying for these refereeing reports, not because they were looking to bribe refs, but because they were pocketing the difference. Anyways, this complaint has been brought to the court. The court will now, the judges that sit on that court will review the complaint, will review the documents, and they will determine if there's enough evidence to open a case. Not enough evidence to find Laporta guilty. This is just enough evidence to merit an investigation. If the court finds that, yes, there's enough evidence, it's kind of like an indictment, right? The court finds, yes, there's enough evidence in these documents to merit an investigation, then an investigation will be opened. And then from there, a case will be filed against Laporta. There'll be investigation, testimony, blah, 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 and then eventually a trial. So obviously, as an attorney, I strongly believe that innocent until proven guilty. So I'm not going to come here and tell you that, yes, whatever is accused of Laporta and them is 100% happened, blah, blah, blah. Again, innocent until proven guilty. So that's all I've got to say. I'm going to wait for this to play out. And then, of course, as this plays out, I will report on it. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure you hit that bell button so you get the notifications whenever I upload videos. Now, John Laporta did issue a statement in response to this legal complaint. And this is what the Barcelona former president, now turned candidate, had to say. We will respond to the slanders. Everything is false. I already know what this is about. The aim is to harm me. Everything is done with the intention of slandering and defaming. We cannot make certain agreements public due to confidentiality. Talking about these contracts, right? You know, he cannot show us the contracts and prove to us that, no, he didn't pocket the commissions or that the commissions were reasonable because, you know, there's confidentiality clauses in these contracts. They are operations that were carried out to save Barcelona. The relationship was broken in court thanks to his intervention. We collected the millions withheld by Nike. Darren Dane brought the binding offer from Puma, and thanks to that mediation, Nike paid market price. So he's talking here about, he's addressing, these contracts that he's accused of laundering money out of. First, he talks about the Nike deal, and he's saying, well, the reason why Darren Dane got charged us $50 million, it's not because I pocketed the rest, is because he had to come in and fix the broken relationship between us and Nike that had been broken in court. Right. But who broke that relationship, Mr. Laporta? It was you. So, okay. But anyways, the commission, it is paid over 14 years between Barcelona, 1.65%, and Nike, 1.25% if the contract is not broken. The 50 million figure is not true. They must include Nike's part. Everything is to throw mud. So Laporta explained that the commission is actually split. Barcelona pays half, Nike pays the other half. It was a brave and necessary decision. I would do it again. We need these revenues to compete at the elite level. We were 11 years behind schedule. I left the Foster project and nothing was done. Here he's talking about, of course, the Camp Nou deal. We spoke with up to 20 investors who invested $1.4 billion to carry out Espai Barça. Limac won the bid. I don't know why it's translated tender. Accepted the construction contract and the others did not. Moreover, I did not want to be subject to a political uncertainty that could lead us to collapse and stop the works of collateral reason. Spanish construction companies have been sanctioned for manipulating and organizing prices in tenders to dominate processes. And there are people who are not very supportive of Barcelona. And with Limac, we did not have those risks. I don't know if I'm buying the excuse with the Limac contract. He's saying, oh, well, Spanish companies, sometimes they do bad things. They manipulate pricing and stuff. So we went with a completely external company because I don't trust any Spanish company. I don't know if the excuse really bodes. We all know that your own experts that you hired said no Limac because they have no experience building stadiums. Their timeline doesn't make sense. The cost that they're forecasted, it doesn't make sense. And there's no explanation in their bid. Their whole bid doesn't make sense. And yet he went with them, surprisingly, a week after he was seen in a presidential box of the Galatasaray Stadium with the president of Limac. Anyways, I'm not accusing him again of money laundering, but it definitely raises questions, not as far as money laundering, but as far as why was Limac chosen when your own experts said no, and then you choose it once you're seen being wine and dined. Anyways, Barcelona also issued their own statement. This is the club itself, not Laporta. But Barcelona said the club is unaware of the details of the claim presented, which is referenced in the story in question. Although the details published coincide with the information that the club refuted expressly on January 19th, 2026. The club will make available to the Electoral Committee all the information in its possession on this matter for them to verify the situation and warn the pre-candidate of the consequence of using false information and news stories during the electoral process. So there you have it, folks. Joan Laporta, amongst others, including Rafa Yuste and Elena Fort, accused of money laundering by overpaying for commissions for financial deals that Barcelona closed and then pocketing the difference. So we'll see what the court will do with this complaint. Again, this is just a complaint. Anybody can file a complaint. I can go to the court and say, hey, Chuchu stole my car. Doesn't mean he did. The court has to check the evidence I submit, see if there's enough evidence to open an investigation. And if there is, then they'll open an investigation and they'll try to see if Chuchu really did steal my car, right? Don't steal my car, Chuchu. What the fuck? Anyways, let's go back to the comment section, and then we are going to talk about a surprise talent, Mexican talent that Barcelona are currently interested in, or tracking, I should say. All right, let's see. Where we at? Sundar says, hi, Mo. Oh, wait, that's the last one I did. Got it. Magazine says, what is up, Mo? We're gearing up for Atletico. If we score again in the first 10 minutes against Villarreal, we'll get that goal against Atletico and we'll set the tone. I mean, I don't know, man. They're two different matches, two different opponents. You know, if we want to beat both, we got to have to play well against both. Just because you play well against one doesn't mean you're going to necessarily play good against the other. But we'll see. I don't know. That performance against Levante, sure, we won 3-0. Sure, I'm happy we're back at the top. That performance to me, yes, it was better than Girona and Atletico Madrid, but it wasn't enough for me to say, wow, we're back, baby. We're gonna kill Atletico Madrid. I don't know. But Who knows? Maybe the team will get it together. Nickel says, I know a return for Messi is impossible, but what about a friendly against Miami to give him proper send-off? I think that would be the best kind of scenario. I think that would be the best case scenario to do, what's called? You know, the Joan Gamper trophy match, which is the last friendly of the summer of the preseason, right before the season begins. I think that would be the perfect time to invite Inter Miami, have a friendly match with them against them, and then once the match is over, you know, do the full ceremony, you know, with I'm sure music and sound effects and fireworks and some cool video that can play on the screen, and you know, and the fans can chant Messi's name and they can say goodbye to him. I think that would be the best time to do it. But of course, the idea would be to do it when the Camp Nou is finished. And technically, it's not going to be done until the end of 2027, right? That's when the roof is going to go off. Anyways. And I don't know if Messi will still be at Inter Miami by the summer of 2028, right? Because if we finish 2027 in the stadium, Joan Gamper Trophy match won't be until 2028. I don't know if he's still going to be playing by 2028. I guess we'll see. Justice Boyo says, hello, Mo. Justice Boyo from the Gambia. We are desperately in need of a center forward as Lewy is totally honed, done, and Torres need to be sold, and the club makes money from him to balance the books. Yeah, 100%. We definitely need a center forward. Lewy, of course, you know, he's not in a position to be starting every match and playing 90 minutes of every match because his age, unfortunately, we're all aged, even though to me he's one of the greatest center forwards of our generation. And of course, Ferran Torres is Ferran Torres, man. God help us. But yeah, we do need a center forward 100%. And speaking of center forwards or forwards, we'll talk about one in a little bit. So stay tuned. Mike says, hey, Mo, what do you think of Pep Guardiola's statement recently where he stated his love for Barcelona and said if Barcelona calls, he will go back? I mean, he always says that, right? I mean, I think Guardiola's as culé as it gets. You know, came up through the academy, played as a player, came up through the academy as a coach, gave us everything, won us everything. But I don't think he would ever come back as a coach. I mean, he said it plenty of times that he would never come back as a coach. Let me see. Mahmoud says, hey, Mo, considering Koundé's drop in form, what's your thoughts of shifting him back to CB and playing Balde on the left and Cancelo on the right? No. You don't reward bad performance by, oh, hey, you're being shit, but I'm still going to start you so you can be shit somewhere else. No. If we're going to give Cancelo or whomever the right back position, then he needs to go to the bench. And he needs to sit on that bench and think about whether he wants to be a Barca player and whether he wants to play like a Barca player or whether he just wants to, you know, twirl his dreads around and do fashion shows before the match. That's what I think. Shin, my man Shin, says Laporta being accused of money laundering seriously does not surprise this guy at all. I mean, look, like I said, innocent until proven guilty, but there's a lot of red flags on those deals that I've pointed out. But unfortunately, let's hope not. I honestly hope that this is all a lie, not because I blindly follow Laporta like some people, but because if these accusations are true, that means he stole from the club. And I really hope it's not true because we're in no position to be stolen from. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, you shouldn't blindly support anybody at the club. You should only blindly support the club itself, the institution, the people that come and go, the presidents, the board members, the players, the coaches. Those people you only support when they do a good job. When they don't do a good job, they need to get the fuck out and make space for someone else who wants to do a good job. I don't know how many times I got to say this until it finally clicks in people's heads, but it doesn't. And for some reason, we still have Laporta bootlickers who come here every day arguing with me about everything I say about Laporta. It's like, why are you so blindly supporting someone that you never even met? Why? Like, I don't understand it. Like, for example, the other day, some guys like, we were talking about the Limax situation, right? Where Barcelona's own board of experts, own commission of experts said no. And this guy's like, there's no report of this, blah, he's making it up, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I linked the report. He's like, well, this report is actually not bad. It's just, there's nothing bad about a president choosing the cheapest option. I'm like, but that's not what happened, right? He chose an option that was rejected by his own experts days after he was seen dining with the president of that option. Well, it doesn't matter, if you go against those board of experts, as long as you didn't go against the board of directors. I was like, okay. The person in charge of the Espai Barca project resigned as a result of Limac being chosen. So Laporta did go against his own board members. Well, board members have been leaving since day one. I was like, oh my God. Can you say bah? Sheep. That's what some of these people are. Sheep. They can't think for themselves. They cannot rationalize for themselves. They just blindly attach themselves to someone and follow that person everywhere. And it's just no matter what that person does or what they say, they will do everything in their power to defend them. And it's like, why? Why do you have this blind loyalty to him? What are you afraid of? That if you admit that person did something wrong, that all of a sudden you can't follow them. And if you can't follow them, you're lost because you need someone to follow all the time because you're a sheep, and a sheep without a pastor is a lost sheep. I mean, my God, man. Like, I don't understand. I understand what the blind loyalty is to strangers that you've never met. And that goes for everything, right? Goes for presidents, politicians, singers, actors, whatever. Like, why are you blindly following someone you've never met in your life? Are you that weak-minded that you need to just blindly follow someone? Otherwise, you just what? Feel lost because you can't formulate your own thoughts. You can't rationalize on your own. You cannot be your own leader. Crazy. I fear for the world that we have. I fear for our planet. I fear for the human race. Anyways, let's move on to the next bit of news. Because we got a surprise target that Barcelona are monitoring, tracking, or interested in. And this one comes straight out of Mexico. Now, before we talk about this, of course, my thoughts and prayers to everyone right now in Mexico for what's going on. It's absolutely horrific. If you guys don't know, the Mexican military took out the biggest drug lord in Mexico, El Mencho, who is the head of pretty much the most powerful cartel right now, Nueva Generación, that took over kind of like when El Chapo Guzman was captured, and Cartel de Sinaloa, which was the most powerful cartel, kind of like lost power. Nueva Generación was kind of like it broke off, and then anyways, I'm not gonna go into narco history, which is fascinating, by the way. But anyways, the Mexican military took out the leader of the Nueva Generación cartel, and as a result, in retaliation, the cartel members have lit up fires to cars, to businesses. There's shootings on the streets. There's a complete warfare between the Mexican military and the gunmen from the cartel. So my thoughts and prayers to everyone in Mexico, or if you have loved ones or family in Mexico. I hope they all come out of this safe, and I hope things get better. But speaking of Mexico, let's talk about forgot his name, Armando Gonzalez. I had to check my notes. Like my brain completely blanked. But Armando Gonzalez is a player that Barcelona are now tracking as a possible option for the summer transfer market. Now, as we know by now, as I've said it a million times, Barcelona are looking to, of course, find a replacement for Robert Lewandowski, who will be leaving the club at the end of the season, or his contract is expiring at the end of the season. And Barcelona have been, constantly combing the market, combing the leagues, countries, continents, trying to find a possible replacement for Lewandowski. And now they are reportedly tracking Armando La Hormiga. That's his nickname, the Ant. Armando the Ant Gonzalez, who's a 22-year-old forward who currently plays for Las Chivas de Guadalajara in the Mexican League. Now, Armando Gonzalez is someone who's been catching the attention of European clubs, given his performances. He's described as a forward with sharp movements, quick reactions, and strong finishing. So far, he has scored 17 goals in 24 matches, and as such, the likes of Feyenoord, West Ham, and Celtic have all already contacted his agent to try to reach an agreement. And in fact, CSK Moscow have even made an offer worth 20 million euros for Las Chivas de Guadalajara to try to sign Armando Gonzalez, the hottest forward right now in Liga MX. Now, Armando Gonzalez recently renewed his contract with Las Chivas until 2029. He has a 15 million euro release clause, but given that he is, an ascending player, Barcelona believes that they can sign him for less by offering an option to buy, right? Because, hey, I give you 10 million, but this guy's going to get more expensive, so maybe you keep 20%, and the 5 million difference, you're going to make it up double or triple because his value is going to keep going up and up and up, and you're going to get 20% out of that value. Now, Barcelona are reportedly tracking this guy, watching how he does, and that he could be a low-cost option come this summer. In other words, if Barcelona cannot sign anyone because they're too expensive, Armando Gonzalez could be that low-cost option that Barcelona could sign for less than 15 million. In my opinion, as I've said before, we cannot be bringing players who are promising to be our starting center forward. I think bringing a promising player like Armando Gonzalez is great if you already bring an established center forward, and he could be maybe the substitute and they can alternate. But of course, our hands are tied by our financial situation, given our financial fair play and the debt that Barcelona carries. But Armando La Hormiga Gonzalez, have you seen him play? If so, what do you think? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this once it ends. All right, let's get back to the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Benfica and UEFA and Real Madrid, because what a shit show. But we do have a donation from Chavez Juan. Thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity and for supporting the channel. But Chavez Juan says, wait, it's just a donation. Did you forget to type something out? Because if you did, drop a comment down below and I'll make sure 100% to read it. And in fact, I'm seeing here another comment from you, so let's read that. He's celebrating 7 months of membership. Let's go. Thank you for being a member and for your donation. But Charles Juan says, hey, Mo, I'm also a big Chivas. I recommend that if you have a chance to see a game, they play some beautiful football right now. Okay. I'm always down to watch teams I've never seen. Obviously, I'm very familiar with Las Chivas. I've never seen them play, but I'm very familiar because I grew up in Vegas, and Vegas has a huge Mexican-American population. So lots of Chivas fans there, lots of America fans there. A lot of times they hold friendly matches in Vegas. Like Chivas America will go and play in Vegas. But that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm definitely going to check out. Maybe I'll do a reaction video to Armando Gonzalez. I've never watched him play. So maybe I'll do a reaction video. What do you guys think? All right, let's see what else. But thank you, my friend, for being a member and for your generosity with your donation. And let's see, where did we leave off? Right here. Klaus. What's up, Klaus? Always good to see you in the chat section. But says the 50 million for the middleman was weird. 100%. Klaus says it could have been 25 million each. So that's why Laporta is saying that it's 25 million each. Nike pays 25 and Barca pays 25. Either way, I think 50 million euro fee to negotiate or to mediate between two parties that have been in business for 30 years. That to me is just strange. Now, this doesn't prove money laundering, but nonetheless, at least begs the question of we should look into this, right? Again, it could be totally normal, nothing going on, it's flying dandy, but at least it begs merits an investigation. Maybe not I'm not saying a police investigation or prosecutor's office investigation. I'm talking about like within Barca. Like, hey, what happened here? Can we see the paperwork? Like if I'm a soci, well, I am a soci, but as a soci, I would want like, hey, like, can we get an explanation here? Why is it 50 mil? Even if it's 25. Why so much? Can I see the paperwork? Can I see proof that the 50 mil did indeed all go to him and didn't circle around shell companies and got paid out to other people? I don't know. It at least deserves an answer. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong was done, but it raises questions. For sure it does. Hogan says, Mo, if Cancelo keeps up performance like what he played against Osasuna, do you think he should take starting spot over Balde? Yeah, absolutely. I think if Cancelo keeps his performance, yeah, he should. Why not? I mean, he performed much better than Balde has this season. But of course, the question is, can he keep it up, right? And can he do it against big teams, right? I mean, Levante, with all due respect to Levante, one thing is to do the things that Cancelo did against Levante. Another thing is to do it against, I don't know, Atletico Madrid in the semifinal of the Copa del Rey. Or, I don't know, PSG in the Champions League, if that's who we get. So, Chuchu says, Cancelo, how are you guys fooled because he played on good game against a team that's going to be relegated? Don't you know the history of this guy? Fair. That's what I've been saying, right? I said during Nestor's post-match live analysis, I said, hey, he did great. MVP, deservedly so. He was amazing, but let's hold our horses. People were, because someone I remember during the watch along was like, hey, we should sign him. See, I told you. I was like, yo, chill, bro. That's just one match. Also, like you said, Chuchu, it's against Levante. Like, right? Now, if Cancelo keeps doing it, yeah, absolutely. Have him start. But you guys forget, we already had Cancelo. We had him for a full season under Xavi. And yesterday was not, was it yesterday that we played against Levante? Yeah. Yesterday was not the first time he put on a performance like that. We've seen performances like that before. But we've also seen those performances being followed up by many, many bad ones. That's the problem. Consistency, right? Having one great match doesn't make you a great player. Having a serious, consistently great matches, it does. Right? The same thing as having one bad match doesn't make you a bad player, but a series of bad matches does. Klaus says using a company that has no experience in renovation of football stadium was also strange. And again, another question mark. I'm not saying it proves money laundering, but it definitely raises questions. We're talking about a major, major project. This is not like, oh, we're going to go in and change the pitch and we're going to paint and replace the seats and put new LEDs and put new signage and we're good to go. We're talking about a major construction project. I mean, they demolished all of the third level. They dug out the foundation of that third level. They built new foundation in its place and they built in a whole new third level. They're building a new underground parking lot. I mean, this is not just a slap a coat of paint on the Camp Nou and we're good to go. This is a legit construction project. Not to mention the roof. The roof, that's not an easy thing to do. A roof that big, that heavy, and you go with a company that has zero experience in building stadiums over companies that have handled stadiums before. Again, doesn't prove money laundering, but it sure deserves an answer. What the fuck happened here? Especially when your own experts, the own people that you hired, architects, engineers, finance people, are telling you this doesn't add up. Why would you go against their advice? Again, you're not obligated to go with their advice, but there's a reason you hire them. Because if I'm the president of Barcelona and someone comes, a building company comes and gives me a bid, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. I don't know if the schematics are right, if those load-bearing, beams are going to support the weight of the roof. I don't know if that foundation is big enough to sustain the weight of the new structure. I don't know if 960 million is the right price for this project. I don't know any of that. I'm a lawyer. I don't know any of that. So what do? I bring experts, people who actually do know about engineering and architecture, and finance people who know about the cost of these kind of projects. So they can tell me, hey, yeah, this looks about right. No, this doesn't look about right because I don't know. So if you hire the experts to give you that advice and then you go against them, then why'd you hire them in the first place? Fuck it. You should have just went with the cheapest option from the get-go. Hey, who's the cheaper one? You. Let's go. Yeah, I'm actually a candy company. I don't care. You're the cheapest option. Let's go. So what the fuck are we doing here? And share with the donation. Let's fucking go. Shin says, read an article today in which Harry Kane said his dad and brother are his reps and they've heard absolutely nothing from Barca regarding interest. Maybe time to shelve that particular rumor, methinks. So, yes, I did see that story where Kane is like, no, there's no contact. But there was never an actual story of Barcelona in its official capacity reaching out to Harry Kane. Like, right? There's difference between interest and actually reaching out. Interest is saying, hey, we think this player could be good and we should sign him. Right? That's just interest. Now, whether you act on the interest, that's a whole nother story. Right? Because you might ask around and they might tell you, nah, bro, forget about it. Move on. This guy doesn't want to leave. Okay, never mind. Let's move on to someone else, right? So at least on my channel, Barca officially, I never talked about any stories where Barca officially made contact. Now, Marc Casado claims that his team reached out to Harry Kane. Circle. But of course, that's not Barca. That's not Barca, right? Because Marc Casado is not acting on in his capacity as a representative of Barcelona because he's a candidate. He's not the sporting director. He's not the president. But as far as I know, no, there's no stories, at least verifiable ones, that say that Barcelona have actually reached out. The stories just say that Barcelona are interested. And of course, interest versus acting on it, that's completely different, right? I could be interested in signing and buying a Ferrari. And then I go open my bank account and I'm like, yeah, no, I can't because I'm broke. So yeah, that's a little bit difference there. But I don't think Harry Kane is going to happen anyway because it doesn't look like he wants to leave Bayern. He's probably enjoying beer and schnitzels. So, but thank you, my friend, for your donation. And with that, let's move on to the last bit of news because we do have to talk about something that controversial that UEFA did that really, really rubbed me the wrong way. And that's why I decided to talk about it, even though it's not really Barca news, but it's still related somewhat because after all, we do play in the Champions League. We are part of UEFA. And decisions like this, even though they don't directly affect us, indirectly it affects everybody that plays European competitions under the UEFA umbrella. And the decision is that UEFA have decided to provisionally suspend Gianluca Prestiani. Now, if you don't know what happened during the first leg of the playoff matches between Real Madrid and Benfica, or I should say Benfica versus Real Madrid, because it was an away match for Madrid, there was an altercation, verbal altercation, not an actual physical one, where Vinicius and Prestiani, that's the guy you see on the screen that has his mouth covered with his shirt, were exchanging words. Presumably they were insulting each other. And all of a sudden, Vinicius turns around and runs towards the referee, and he starts pointing at him, right? And he's like, complaining, like a little bitch that he is. And what Vinicius claims is that Prestiani called him a monkey, which is absolutely unacceptable. But here's the thing. The thing is that UEFA have announced that Prestiani will be suspended for the second leg against Real Madrid, provisionally speaking. What does that mean? That means that the investigation is still ongoing on whether Prestiani said that word. And while the investigation is ongoing, they have decided to suspend him. And this is where it really irks me. Because right now, we don't know if Prestiani truly said that. We just have Vinicius claiming that Prestiani did. It could have happened. Vinicius could be telling the truth. Or maybe it didn't happen. We don't know. That's why there's an investigation. But to punish the guy while the investigation is still ongoing, that to me is fucking crazy. Because what happens if the investigation reveals that, wait a minute, he didn't say that? Then what? How do you give him back that match you suspended him for? What, you invent a time machine? You go back in time? You unsuspend him and then he can play? No, right? So that to me is insane. Again, for all we know, he could have said it. I don't know. Right now, there's an investigation ongoing. But how about this? This is a crazy radical idea. How about we finish the investigation? Then, if it's determined that he truly said it, we suspend him. Sound crazy, right? Very radical of me to think that someone should be punished once they're actually proven guilty, not provisionally punished where investigation is going. This is like saying, hey, I accuse you of stealing my car, and I'm going to throw you in jail, in prison, and, oh, later on it turns out, oh, you didn't steal the car. Oh, shit, oops, sorry. What are we doing here? Also, now, some people have tried to justify UEFA's decision saying, oh, well, we, suspended him because, they want to avoid a conflict at the Bernabeu. Really? That's the best thing you could do? Okay, fine. You want to avoid a conflict? How about you suspend both? Or the rational thing to do, you don't suspend any of them until you figure out what actually happened. And once you've determined what happened, then you hand out punishment. Sounds pretty reasonable to me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Now, here's the crazy thing, because on one hand, again, we don't know if Prestiani said that word or not, but he is suspended pending investigation. And yet, here's an image of the same match, Valverde punching a Benfica player. Wasn't shown a red card. VAR completely missed it. Benfica filed a complaint, and today the complaint was dismissed. So here we have a guy who actually did something wrong that was caught on camera, not being punished, not being suspended while the investigation is ongoing. And yet, here we have a guy who we don't know whether he did something wrong because we're still investigating, and yet he's suspended. So we don't know if this guy did something wrong, but he's suspended. We do know that this guy has something wrong. Nothing. No suspension, nothing. Someone explain this to me. Please. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I misread something. Maybe I'm missing a fact. But this to me sounds fucking retarded. Let's just put it plain and simple. You have an actual image of Valverde punching this guy. Nothing, no suspension, no red card, nothing. Here, we're still investigating whether Prestiani said something to Vini. Let's suspend them while we figure out what happened. And again, my question to UEFA is, what happens if you determine that Prestiani never said that? How do you give him back that match? How? You're going to go back in time and unsuspend him? Crazy. But they want to talk about Negreira and that Barcelona this and Barcelona that. And by the way, let's not forget, Valverde already has done this before, right? He punched Alex Baena in the parking lot of the stadium after a match where he also never faced any kind of punishment. Anyways, let's do some comments and then we'll end this live. I got to be done by 8:55, so we got 4 more minutes of comments. But share with another donation. Let's go. Thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity. Bastion says, also just wanted to let you know, I also don't know jack squat about foundation beams either. I'm only just a badass electrician. I mean, shit, I don't know anything about electrician. And if you present me with, the schematics for the electrical work at the Camp Nou, I'm going to be like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. Hey, maybe I can hire someone who does know what he's looking at, and he can tell me, hey, man, this is good work. Oh, hey, man, Shin is crazy. He's going to let the whole stadium on fire because this wiring doesn't make sense, right? And then I can make an informed decision. But no, fuck it. Fuck the experts. Let me just go with the option that they happen to wine and dine me, but it's nothing related to that. Mamma mia, mamma mia. But thank you, my friend, for both of your donations. Let's do a few more comments and then we'll end this. But Triple X says, why not let the investigation go behind the scenes and let him play? We all know what they're doing. They're using a slick opportunity to give Madrid the advantage. I mean, I don't get it either. But again, maybe I missed something. Maybe I don't understand what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm just full of shit. I don't know. You guys let me know because it definitely doesn't make any sense to me. Let's see. Suleiman says, hello, Mo. How are you doing today? Mr. Laporta should expect criticism of any kinds with the way he moved the last 2 years. People are just stupid for going against anyone that questioned him. I mean, look, I believe anyone that wants to run Barcelona should be monitored and put under the microscope because we saw what happens when we neglect doing that. Bartomeu, right? He did some irreparable harm. Well, hopefully it is reparable, but pretty bad harm for Barcelona because we didn't want to question anybody, right? Because, you question Bartomeu, you question Laporta. You're not a Barca fan. No, buddy. I'm more Barca fan than you because I give a fuck about what happens to my club. Meanwhile, you're too busy being a sheep and just blindly follow anyone, including Xabi Hernandez. Yes, I'm looking at you, Xabi apologist, as our club was constantly being humiliated on the, you're anti-Barca because you criticize them. Yeah, well, go fuck yourself. I'd rather be anti-Barca for criticizing and wanting greatness from my club than just be some bootlicker who just goes along with whatever, regardless of how much harm it does for my club. Barca Mama says, I love Messi. He as well brought me to Barca. However, these candidates need to keep him out of their mouth. 100% agree with you, Barca Mama. I mean, let the man be. He gave us 20 years, 20 amazing years where he won us everything there is to win, where he gave us some of the best moments in the history of football. Let the man enjoy his last years of football, his retirement. Let him enjoy. He's out there in freaking Miami or whatever the hell he lives, enjoying the sun, enjoying the company of his wife and kids and his buddies like Suarez. Just let him enjoy, man. Like, why do you got to keep bringing him up? Messi this, Messi, I'm going to bring Messi back. No, I'm going to bring Messi and his kids back. No, I'm going to bring Messi, his kids, his grandpa, all of us. Like, yo, shut the fuck up. Just let the guy be. Let the guy be. Mike B says, oh, that's cool. Let the guy be. Mike B. What do you think of Hoke from Bodo Glint? He's 25, tall, good headers and finishing and turns into Erling Haaland in the Champions League. I honestly have never seen him play, so I cannot say. But let's check him out. Casper Hoke. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. It has that weird O. Let me see. 25. Danish. Center forward. 186. 8 million market value, 4 goals, 3 assists in 9 matches. Damn, that's insane numbers for oh no, wait, center forward. Why did I read center back? I was like, what? I've never seen him play, so I have no idea. But my guess is if he's 25 and still playing in the Danish league, with all due respect for the Danish league, but if you haven't made it out by now, I don't know if Barca's the right next step. But anyways, I could be wrong. I don't know. I've never seen him play, so I'm just going to shut up and just leave it at that. All right, one last comment. NM30 says, I hope one of the big dogs take Alvarez before. If ever our finances recover, I'd hate to see that guy in my club. Even a blind man can see he's not the player this team needs right now. Definitely not. But that doesn't mean I would hate seeing him at the club. I wouldn't, because obviously he's an amazing player. He's just not what we need right now to replace Lewy. He's just not, because he's not a center forward. Also, I don't think we should be spending that much money, not just on Julian, but on anyone, because we're still recovering financially. People want to talk about, oh, Laporta saved the club. Not really, because we're still in a bad financial situation. So we're not saved. The last thing we need to do is go spend 200 million on anyone, whether it's Julian or Haaland or whomever, because we don't have the money. But anyways, on that negative note, let's end this live stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for your donations, your likes, your subscriptions, your comments. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you do. It really, really helps the channel more than anything else. If you haven't hit the If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? And finally, don't forget to drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I shared with you. I will see you guys later. And as always, Vis Barça.